Hi, this is Rob from Akai Professional. I'm here today at Gear4music to look at the brand new MPC One. MPC One is the brand new addition to the MPC family. It takes some of the great features from MPC Live and MPC X and combines it into a compact but powerful package. So the first thing to look at is the hardware itself. First thing you see is this great 7-inch multi-touch, multi-gesture display. This is the very same screen that you'll get inside the MPC Live. Below that, you've got 16 pads. Notice these pads are slightly smaller than the ones with the MPC Live or the MPC X, but it's the same build. So you're getting that same quality, but in a smaller package. You've also got 4 cue links, which you have on the MPC Live, which can be mapped to parameters within the software. So from the back corner, you can see you've got stereo outputs. You've also got stereo inputs. You've got MIDI in and out. You've also got 8 CV gate ports. You also have MIDI and CV control on the hardware, which is great for controlling external equipment such as synthesizers and modular equipment. In regards to memory, you've got a USB slot on the back and you've got an SD card port on the front. You've also got an Ethernet port on the back for network connection, and you've also got a headphone port on the front for monitoring. So the way that MPC One software works is identical to MPC Live and MPC X. For people who aren't aware of that, I'll give you a quick rundown of how it works. So the way that the MPC environment works, be it the Live, X, or even on the MPC 2.0 software, is run in sequences. So a sequence could be an intro, it could be a verse. And within those sequences, there's tracks, and then there's different types of programs. So for example, on this track here, I've got drums, but if I choose these icons here, I can flick between these 6 different types of program. So drums, plugin, which we'll come back to later, key group, which is your sampler, clips, MIDI, CV control channels. It's worth mentioning that clips will allow you to load in samples or loops and play them back with a synced playback to your project. Just like with the other models, you can edit audio within MPC One. Simply go to the audio tab and you have all of your controls for audio editing, recording, and processing inside that screen. So let's look at how we put together a beat or an idea within MPC One. So here I've got my sequence. I've set it up to 121 BPM. I'm going to just change the bar length down to, let's say 1 to start with, and then we're going to choose some drums. So to choose drums or browse instruments, select or press the browse button here, and that'll take you into your browser. Same browser on the other units, but you can see here you've also got Splice, which means you can download content from your Splice account directly to MPC One. The only difference this has to the MPC Live and the MPC X is the fact that this is run off Ethernet, not Wi-Fi. So now let's choose some drums. Let's go to drums, and you can see in the expansions, you've got the MPC One bundle, which has a huge selection of sounds and kits to choose from. We're going to go for a house sound. So let's use the keyboard to search house. And let's choose the Detroit kit and load. So when it comes to recording sounds in or drum sounds, there's 2 options. You can do it in real time or use the step sequencing function. For this, we'll just use the step sequencer. So press the step sequence button, press your pad, and then you draw in the hits. I'm going to do full level for this for my kick drums. Then do the same with the claps. Now I'm going to find a hi-hat and play that in real time. Okay, so we've got a basic beat down, and what I can do now is go into the grid menu and look at the MIDI I've created. Same as with the other products, you can use the display to its full capability by zooming in or zooming out, or even editing or removing notes using just the screen. So now let's look at how we edit the MIDI inside of the piano roll or the drum roll. Here I've got my drum sounds. So the hi-hat, I can use the quantize and move it with the swing, or I can do it manually by just pressing don't snap and then nudge. I can move them forward and back using the encoder. Let's do the same with the claps, bring them forward slightly. Okay, so that works. So let's move on to melodic parts. Inside of MPC One, there's a huge amount of content that you get for free. The sound we're using in this project comes from the F9 instrument collection, which is a huge collection of instruments, multi-sample instruments that you can use inside of MPC. So I have my piano sound loaded here, and what I'm going to do is jump into notes mode. To do that, press Shift and Notes, and that'll open up your notes mode. For anyone who's not aware of the notes mode, what it's actually doing is allowing me to use the pads in scale modes or in progressions or in chords. For this particular project, I've actually installed my own progressions, which I've done via the MPC 2.0 software. You can see here that I've got it loaded as my custom kit or custom progressions. It's set to natural minor and it's on C sharp. So if I play these back, you've got some really good chord content there. So what I want to do is record that alongside my drums. Before I do that, I want to just extend the loop. So we're only on a bar at the minute, but let's maybe double that. So press the pen tool, double the length, so that's 2, double it again, you've got 4 bars. So what I'll do is go back to notes mode. Let's record that in. Cool, so we've got the sound in there and it's starting to sound a little bit more of a full beat. Next thing we want to look at is how you'd play alongside this in the same fashion but using our plugins. As are on the previous MPCs, you've got your 3 built-in synthesizers with a huge amount of presets to play with. You've got bassline, which is your classic mono synth. You've got tube synth, which is your poly, and then you've got electric, which is based on some really high-end electric Rhodes or Rode keyboard sounds. For this, we'll go to track 2 and we're going to load our bassline. You can see here by just dropping the octave, you get an idea of what the sound is. Obviously you can preview your presets from there, but what we're going to do is jump back into the levels, or 16 levels or notes mode, and then instead of being chord, we're going to go to notes mode. So it keeps the same scale, but just changes the pads to notes as opposed to chords. So now let's work out a progression for that. So that'll do. That sounds like a good bass sound to run with. The next thing we'll look at is adding a little bit more percussion. So same thing applies. You just grab a new track and we'll go to browse. And this time I'm going to search through the inbuilt content for some percussion. So let's type percussion or perk. And you can see I've got 2 kits here. I can audition them. That'll work. Let's load it in. And you can see if I go to A, all of my pads are able to be played in real time. So let's start that from the beginning and just add some percussion. Cool, so that is really adding to the track, but now what I'd want to do is start to mix it. And as with the other units, you can actually go and do all of your mixing and processing within the hardware. Just open up the mixer pane, and you can see here on this percussion kit, I've got a reverb loaded. But if I want to go and edit each individual track, I can press that and see all the elements, but double tapping will open up the drum mixer. What I might do is jump back to my drums, my main drums here, do the same, and you can see the clap's got a reverb on it. And you can see here, I've got the same UI, which is all mapped to my cue links. So let's play that back and work on the clap. Okay, that kind of works. If you want to add other effects, you can see I've got my 4 slots, and once I select it, you can see all of my different types of effects grouped into different areas. So you've got dynamics, your compression and your sidechain and all your reverbs, as well as having vintage effects, which are great to put on the master chain, emulating MPCs of the past. Next thing we want to look at is audio. Obviously, I mentioned before that you can edit and record audio in, so it's great for sampling and it's great for working with live instruments. So you've got all of those capabilities from previous MPCs, so the sampling is still very key. But what we're going to do now is look at audio we've brought in to go alongside our track. So you can see I've got my vocal channel set up, but if I go to edit audio, you can see I've got a full waveform view of my samples. If I just hide this, you can see that I've loaded them in from my SD card and I've warped them as well, which is great if you're working with audio which is come directly off a record, or if it's come from a sample bank, or if you've got the signature BPM, you can just type that in. You can see here that the sample is in the right key, which is in C sharp. If it wasn't, I could also tune it, and I can see the signature BPM is 122, so I've just put that into there. But what is great is that I can then chop it up within the audio editor without loading it into a sampler, and I can also move it around freely using the display. So if I play that back with the track, you can see that it fits quite well, and you can see that you can start to arrange your track with audio and MIDI at the same time. The MPC One is extremely versatile. It works with beginners, people getting into production for the first time, or even professionals looking for a standalone hardware option for their studio. This is also great for that. It's ideal for people working with modular equipment for its connectivity. Obviously, you've got the CV option and the MIDI connection, which means that I could run it alongside my external equipment in my studio, working as a brain as opposed to having to connect it all to your DAW. It's also worth mentioning that the MPC One is fully integrated into MPC 2.0, which means that you can create on MPC One in standalone mode and export it directly into MPC 2.0, or connect it and continue to work with MPC 2.0, but using MPC One as your controller, which is great if you want to use all of your third-party plugins as if it was installed on the device. So that was a really brief overview of the main workflow of MPC One, but there is tons more features to get stuck into. For more information on this or any other Akai professional products, head over to the Gear4music website. Thank you very much.